We're going to commence with the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting Thursday, July 5th, 2018. It's 5:01. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item 2, executive session. I'd like to table this. I spoke to Mr. McNaughton a few minutes ago. The heat is such that he didn't really want to venture out, but he would like to talk to us. I explained, he was a little confused on executive session. I explained to him it's totally up to him. He can have it either way he wants it when he does come to meet with us. There was some discussion about him stepping down from the road committee. He said that he would quit if the board wanted him to, but he didn't want to. And I said, well, you should, if you're willing to come to your meeting, you should come to the meeting with the board and before you make any decision. So that's, I would like to table it and give him an opportunity to come to the meeting.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay?
Yep.
Do we need a motion to table?
In this particular case, I would,
Yes.
because it's,
I've made that motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor? All three of us have voted in favor of tabling. Approval of the minutes?
none
None?
today.
Okay. Item 4, review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 87, 88, 92. B, accounts payable 86, 89, 90, and 91.
Make a motion to approve said payroll and accounts payable.
Second.
Those in favor? It is unanimous. 3. I think we may have someone that wants to speak to us. Hello.
I have not swilled off that right out of my grandfather.
I ran out of water.
You can have that, but you can't have the bottle. It's mine.
Warren, we are in session now, and we're on to item 5, open session. If you'd like to speak to the board, you're welcome to do that.
Anything you want me to speak about?
Well, one thing I'm kind of suggesting is the board. If there's a topic that you think would warrant privacy, then we should offer Warren executive session so that he might feel more comfortable speaking openly.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to make a motion that we go into executive session under MRSA 405-6A, Warren Newt.
I'll second.
Those in favor? It is unanimous. We are now in executive session. I'd like to make a motion that we come out of executive session. It is 5:43. Those in favor? It's unanimous. No action taken at this time. Moving on to item 6, Selectmen concerns. Any there?
I would like to just make sure with all the conversations we had about boat docks on land. There was more boats in and out of Center Pond over the weekend than I think's been there all summer. So I would say they were safely getting them in now.
Good, because Chummy was in yesterday, Tuesday, and he said he can't help do whatever needs to be done, but
He didn't think he could reach in there and move it around.
So were the new docks put in that were made?
they're not new, they're repairing the ones that exist.
Okay.
Still out there.
And did they
Yeah.
repair them?
As far as I know, the one down here at Manhattan has been repaired, and he's working on that one. He had to find
corner
angles, yeah, on the piece where we have to add that other piece back onto it.
So it hasn't,
I don't think it's complete yet, but I know he
It's
is
the same
working.
center
it.
pond, yes. No, there's may change it.
you're mumbling, you're like.
I said it looks the same, sorry.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Center Pond, there was a stack, which
Yes.
made, I mean, what's
still-
ultimately the plan? Is that all gonna utilize, or are they gonna pull some out of
No,
there?
it'll all be pushed out into the lake.
Okay.
Well, that piece that's broke, they're gonna have to get that out of there and fix it.
Well, I think he's working on it.
And he working on it if it's at center pond.
I mean, is it your idea that he's gonna take parts out there and fix it out there, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No.
You
The
don't think
whole
so?
thing is twisted. It's not square anymore by any means. There's no fixing it at center pond.
What happened to it?
Well, if they take that piece out and just use the other piece, if it's usable,
And then it's not.
And shorten it up?
Get a boat in there.
well,
I won't get a pontoon out there. That's my thing.
they want pontoon out there.
I would like to be able to get my pontoon boat in the water, yes. I would appreciate that.
You have a pontoon?
Does now.
So, okay, so that.
So it doesn't sound like there really is a definitive plan on that one. We're kind of ambiguous as to what they're
Well,
actually gonna do there.
I'll ask him
Okay.
what he feels is the best.
Because it did look pretty badly damaged. It looked racked, and
Yeah.
it also looked unsightly, because it was just a pile of broken dock.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to either utilize it or get it out of there.
Right,
Well,
right.
and I've got a call. I talked to Chummy when I talked to him the other day. He said call the Nature Conservancy or whoever. He told me who it was, that maybe we can get a grant for a new dock, and then that dock goes over there. Is that how that's
I would
worked
think-
in the past?
Yeah, but I think that's through the Department of Conservation.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause the way I've always understood that is they get a new dock for a Harlow or Manahonk, and then the old dock goes to center.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
They keep shuttling them around.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this
So-
new dock would be aluminum and then, like, no?
I wish.
No?
They're almost all pressure treated.
Oh,
I mean, I just left several of them this week on the Kennebec, and they're great big monstrous wooden
pressure
dock.
treated on the water?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, with foam underneath them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, styrofoam, that's good for the environment.
Yeah.
But they're rugged. I mean, they take a pounding.
Okay.
I'd be careful. Have you seen ours?
Yeah, well, we put it in and out with a loader for what, a decade?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually.
So the
Try
one,
that with aluminum.
the one on Manhattan is not aluminum? I thought it was
No,
aluminum.
that one's wood too.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I thought it was aluminum.
If we call down like on the coast and got a nice, commercial grade
Heavy duty.
out of aluminum,
Yeah.
then we would probably be better off.
Okay, but not a.
Yeah, not a local.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
So just go all the way, pile drivers and posts and put in a peel.
If they let us.
It would be the way to do it.
That would
Yes.
be nice.
Yeah.
Driving blackjacks right in there.
Yeah.
I wonder if we couldn't utilize
Brian Harrod's power.
Ray Rock.
Oh. I just built a pier, like a concrete pier.
You don't see too many of those anymore.
No.
Greenville's, I think, one of the last of the.
Yeah, Sebec has kind of a, they've got
Dinosaur.
kind of sort of a ramp built that way, and then they put the docks in next to it. But yeah, I don't know who's calling the shots on those. They're nice.
That would be a question, actually, even dealing with, find out even through that, Department of Conservation, what's, obviously,
Yeah, what can we do?
we're on the third round of these that I know about. Over
Well,
there.
and
I can show you where the original 3 docks ago were in Harlow.
they're still on Harlow.
No, that's
Um,
center, and then them got disposed of, and then the next one went over to center, and that's where we're on now, so.
Well, wasn't the concrete slabs in the water an issue too? When I talked to Chummy, he said the Department of Conservation we may be able to get them to even relay for us, so we don't have to pay out, because they have a grant program, and so that's one thing to look into. And
They're using exactly the same treads in Gardner.
Yeah,
They weren't bolted together either, but
they weren't.
no, but they obviously were tweaked. I mean, they're nice and smooth gravel filled in between each of them, and a really nice bed.
Well, that could be the difference too. Maybe when ours got put in, they didn't put a good gravel bed on it.
Could be.
You know, they could
Right.
have just.
These were very well supported, but they get a ton of traffic, but it's the same material.
I
And they're
would-
double wide, twice as wide as ours, 2
Wow.
lanes.
The one in Harlow, on in Hancock is doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never can say that.
Manic.
Harlow, it's easy.
I know. Yeah.
The only other thing, if we're gonna do anything like this down there, and we're gonna touch that concrete, my opinion, if you go to that boat landing is perfectly straight all the way down.
Which one?
Manhattan. Oh.
Okay.
You go straight, so you back your trailer straight to the water. And then for whatever reason, when you get to the water, the concrete things make a hard right, and then they do a
Are
circle.
you kidding?
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a
No, that's what
45.
they do. Yeah.
It's like a 45.
They started at 45, but then they literally, about
To
halfway.
get the boat in?
Yeah.
So you gotta back up and then.
No,
Dexter's is pretty bad too. You
just-
go
but
straight
you-
in, but then you have
Then they
to
curve.
pull away from the dock or you go off the edge.
yeah.
Whoa.
And there, I don't believe there's any reason for that. All of those lots down there are straight. The property line is
Yeah.
straight. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to go straight into the water.
Straight into the water.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And, because these ones, they only go, it's only half of them are the 45. This other half is actually under the dock.
Yeah, kind of spirals.
They just keep right on taking them. They're headed for the outlet.
I just wonder if they've cracked over the years.
There's no way they would have cut that.
I mean, why would anybody
With ice,
deliberately
though.
fan them?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
They would
anyway,
put it in the same way at times the ones at Harlow and those straight.
like I said, Dexter's got one, theirs is a mess. It goes way away from the dock, and I don't know why, but Gardner's were perfect. 2 lanes, like I-95.
Wow.
That's because the boats don't run as good as you got here. They want to make sure you're.
There's a lot of boat traffic there, that may be why, so. Okay, any other selectmen concerns?
One other thing that I just thought of, Lois, while you were away, I went past the town garage several times and Jay was there with his workers. And I had some concern when I drove past that they had basically moved in and were using it as their point of operation for landscaping. You know, when I stopped, their landscaping gear was outside and Jason was bebopping around, or Jay, whatever his name is, and then he had one guy welding, that's how I knew about the angle irons for the dock. And the other guy was, it looked like he was still cleaning. I mean, he was throwing stuff out. But you know, the radio's going and they looked moved in. So I just wanted to perhaps get an update on that. You know what what kind of permission do they have to use the garage? Or do they have permission to use the garage?
For their own private, I don't believe they are using it for their own private entity or whatever.
Right.
They don't have permission for that,
Okay.
but they are in there cleaning everything. They know what's in there. They're inventorying.
All of that should be done by now, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
we've signed a lot of warrants.
We have. The 5,500 I know isn't in there right now because I went up the other day and it is at Herrick's waiting for some part
Inspections.
and an inspection. The loader will go up and then the dump truck. But as far as I know, I mean, he has a list. The docks was on the list, coal patch is on the list. And I think those are the last 2 things that I really had for him.
Because they really haven't done nothing for us in the town, right?
They
Yeah.
did that cemetery out there. They raked all of that bug stuff, and and then they reseeded everything. They did out here.
Your sand removal.
My sand removal. They did all of that sand removal. They've done some of the stuff down at the.
Now, was they using
Parks
our
and
town
Rec.
truck when they were doing that?
Don't think I was here when they did that.
So I heard that there was a thought that they may have been operating the Thunder.
The 1 ton?
The white one.
I don't think so, but I'll ask him.
Because I went over and introduced
No, I
myself to
know.
him. And I thought
And
they
he
were
knows that.
in the town truck.
The 1 ton.
But I'm not positive. What's his personal vehicle look like, do you know?
It's gray.
No, this was not, I don't think so.
Anyway, I did stop and and I did talk to him, and he did, you know, at first when he said, oh, and we're building docks, I thought, because he said, we're on our way to Greenville as soon as the rain stops, because they were gonna go. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's making docks to take to Greenville, you know, for one of the jobs. I mean, my wheels were turning. And he said, no, you know, I said, where is that dock going? What are you doing? And he said they were fixing the center pond. I didn't know about that. The dock at center pond. So he did say they were working on that. And then he did bring me around the garage and showed me everything they had done. And, you know, I just didn't know how much direction they had. That's all.
No, I have a list that I had given him to start. When he started, I said, this is my list. And I think he's down to the docks and coal patch. And when he gets to do the coal patch, we've got to use the 5,500.
Right, so now we have knowledge that the coal patch is not readily available.
Well, I knew he would have to go to Bangor.
Oh.
I already knew that.
Okay.
I know Monday, they had their own equipment in that garage. I went to work, I had meetings, so I couldn't stop. But they were unloading zero turns and putting them in the truck beds. So,
In the truck bays?
So,
Along this line, I had a conversation with Lois. It was more of a, well, I guess it is a concern. As we know, we've been signing these warrants. I question the kind of the cutoff as to when we want employees versus contract. My original impression of this arrangement with this gentleman was that if we were going much beyond one person himself, that we would employ him as a contractor. So for example, if we were gonna have 4 guys out here with power brooms, that would be.
he gives us a bill and we pay the bill.
Correct, like we would with
Right,
any contractor.
Right.
But it appears that that's not what we've been doing.
Right.
And Lois said to me that she felt like it was saving the town some money, because obviously you pay a contractor more to run the same piece of equipment. But I think we ought to all discuss
Right, just
where we
stay
really
on
want to go
top
with
of it.
this. Yeah.
Right.
4 times the liability, 4 times the chance for a workers' comp claim, there are all kinds of things that.
yeah, we're paying more of an hourly rate right now than we've ever paid.
I mean, when all 3 are working.
No,
it-
right
now.
now,
Individually.
Yeah,
Per
yeah.
individual.
you're paying them guys more per hour than if we had full-time employees. And I don't see where we're
Getting things done, getting brush cut,
We're paying way more money an hour than I would like to be paying to clean a garage.
Well, and the other thing,
Or
if
sweep or rake.
If I have a contractor, I usually hire that contractor for a specific job, and he would, in this case, he's gonna bring his crew over, he's gonna look at the town garage, he's gonna say, okay,
Right.
just sweep all that up, it's gonna cost you X. And whether he takes a half a day or 3 days, he's gonna get X, and you have no liability. If somebody gets a rock in their eye, you don't have a workers' comp claim. And that's kind of the direction I think, when in doubt, that's kind of the way we should be going. Now, if his price seems crazy, then you call another landscape guy.
Right.
No different than culverts or anything else that we do. That's kind of how I thought we would go about this originally, but that's not what we're doing right now, and that's why I thought we should talk about it.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and also what are his expectations, does he have expectations going forward? I mean, are we creating a situation where, oh, I thought this was my job, you know?
No.
You know,
He knows that that's not, that we're not looking for a full-time, part-time, permanent,
right.
anything.
Right, and that is not his domain. I mean, if we said, Warren, hey, we need you to do something down there for the next week and a half, you know, that it's not.
It's not his turf.
He cleaned it up and he organized it and.
No, but he's keeping an eye on it too, because when I went up the other day, I noticed in the first bay when I went out, there was a no parking sign laid in the bay. And I thought, okay, I don't know where it came from. And then he mentioned to me, who's been in the town garage, because there was this sign there. So he's aware of what's going on, which I think is a benefit.
Yes, no question. And I agree, because he did tell me that they had loaded up the dumpster, and then it was emptied, and then the next day it was totally full. And he said, they hadn't put
Put any
anything in
trash.
the
So the
dumpster.
neighborhood filled
The
it.
neighborhood was filling the dumpster.
Yes.
So no, there's no question, eyes, and just like me driving by and Dale driving by,
Yeah.
it all keeps everybody honest,
No, and I mean, this crew concept has gotta be coming to an end pretty soon, because there can't be
Right,
much left.
right.
But
Yeah.
I would think, going forward, I guess, unless there's a really compelling reason to hire 4 part-time guys on the town's payroll, I wouldn't be doing that. But there may be one.
I mean, we're averaging right now more than we've ever paid for 2 full-time employees per week.
Yeah, but I know we had a situation, we were trying to
Right.
catch it, we had quite a mess.
Yes.
And maybe we've caught up on that, or maybe we're about to.
Yep.
I would hope. But, that's all, it's just.
Yeah, no, just,
Yeah.
where are we going with this, what are his, just so, because when I drove by, I was surprised how sort of moved in they were, and I was like, okay, well, what is the arrangement here? They looked like this was, their new digs, and, just, so, I thought, I wonder what you told them, is what I thought.
Yeah, no, we specifically had the conversation. I told them, I said, 20 to 40 part-time. I don't need anybody after October 30 because, unless it's a tree down or something like that, because at the time, I mean, I can't call them all the time if they're plowing.
Right, right.
So when you said 20 to 40 part-time, is that, so you told them one person, 20 to 40? Because we're well above that.
I'm watching it. I see that, and
And we're paying, what, $20 an hour?
we are,
For each and every person?
yes.
That's way too much.
That was a manager's decision, and I
No.
made that decision.
No, I totally get
And
that.
when we talked about, hiring part-timers, we even talked about how we're gonna hire one to do the mechanic work, one to do this, one to do that, and my understanding was that was okay to do that, so that's,
I wouldn't mind that if we hired a mechanic, but we didn't hire a mechanic. We hired somebody that can't fix the truck, and now they're somewhere else. So,
If we got 4
well,
guys swinging a hammer.
well, and you're getting
then-
close to being, executive session, because
That's
you
what
really
I'm
shouldn't be
saying.
Yeah, yeah.
talking about this in open session, because you're talking about
Well,
the
I'm not-
wages,
I'm not at
you're
all-
talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
work
yeah.
ethic, you're talking,
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, if there are 4 guys swinging a hammer, then that may be something that should be contracted, as
Yes.
opposed to hourly work. I'm not criticizing their quality of work at
Right.
all. If I need 4 guys to build a new dock, then that probably should be contracted.
Yeah.
If one guy can do it, with town tools, town equipment, then
Well,
that
and
maybe
that's
it
the other
should the other way
concern
around.
is too, is if I let them use the town equipment, do they have to be an employee versus contractor?
I know it has been done both ways on occasion, and you know better how to do it than we do.
Well, and I know that if a volunteer wants to use town equipment, that's fine, but they have to sign the volunteer waiver. I don't know if I
What we did before
can.
was we hired them as an employee for a buck. Isn't that what?
Yeah.
I've seen that, I've heard that in the minutes.
Yeah, and I
That's
did
what
ask
Lance
MMA
said.
about that, and
Exactly
I
right.
would review. I did get a response on it, I don't remember it off the top of my head what that response was.
But to be clear, I thought the work they did here was good and needed. I was glad to see that this got cleaned up. My only question was the strategy.
Well, and I've told him for next year, I said, this is kind of, when I hired him, I said, what looking forward, I would like to think of as a contractor. And he definitely wants to be considered for mowing and such as that as well next year. So he knows that that's what we're looking for versus employee. Just want to get there.
Good.
Anything else on that, any of that? Any other selectmen concerns? All right, well, on to item 7, committee reports. Rec committee. You have a resignation?
We do have a resignation from Jimmy Bell. He had made contact with me that he wanted to resign his position. He didn't feel that he was in a position at this time that he could continue on. And I told him I needed it in writing, and he hadn't gotten it to me, So I sent him a letter and said, this is a follow-up. Do you want to resign? If you do, sign this letter and it's acknowledged that you're resigning, effective immediately. He did sign it and return it. So we need to accept his resignation if that's what you, at this point, want to do.
Make
I'll
a motion, go ahead.
Yep, to accept his resignation.
That's James Bell.
Yes.
Those in favor? It's unanimous. And I don't know if we want to get into this now or not, but
What do you want to do
yeah,
with the
we've got.
position in
I
the
think it's an
future?
interesting project now. Between now we've got a vacancy in our rec director's situation. Obviously, that's open. There's always been this, particularly get to the budget cycle. There's always been questions about Pirate Rec and this separation from, and maybe this is a time to look at how all that works.
Right.
I do know there is somebody interested in the position.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know if I can tell you that because they haven't put in an application.
Oh, okay, well, I would wait then.
Oh.
I think.
Because
we
they
should-
haven't advertised it or anything like that, but they are interested and they're in a position.
I seriously question the need if we need a position.
Well, I think
That's
before
why we
we
would like
start
to-
entertaining names, we need to figure out how this should be structured.
Structure, yeah.
Well, and so I think you should contact a committee member to, or the rec committee.
Well, that's what I
And
would
to
like to do.
see, because when I talked to Jason, he says they don't really have a whole lot of committee left, so maybe we need to figure out what to do with the whole, everything as a whole.
I agree.
Okay.
Because I mean, realistically, as our sign now says, that is the home of Pirate Rec.
Yeah.
So, to me, that whole organization really is the one that organizes all of that. I just don't know why we really need a rec director.
Well, is it a rec director or do we want to make a parks director? And that's your flip side of what you want
I don't know if
or
we-
don't want. I mean, unless you
The
want to
only part of the
start
park right now
something
is a
to,
gazebo.
unless you want to start something with that, like Guilford does. They bus like day trips for the elderly or the kids or something. Work with them in conjunction, or
Those are good ideas, I just,
the concert series that we have. I mean, that is part of the rec committee. If there's something else that they want to do down there for the kids in the summertime, they talk about doing their frisbee golf, a golf tournament or something like that. If that's something that they are interested in, getting the kids interested in participating as part of a rec program other than soccer, baseball, basketball.
but we don't have a rec program.
That is correct.
And
And
that's,
that's what we need to
That's
determine.
right.
Do we want to offer something?
but we have been funding this private entity
Yes.
with balls and bats and bases. And so the question is, is that arrangement something that we want to continue, or do we take this, opportunity is not the right
clean it
word,
up.
but this certain situation
Right.
and look at maybe organizing it in a more practical way?
Right.
And
I think, Pirate Rec, there's no doubt, they have an awesome organization. What they're doing, the turnout that's down there when they have their stuff going on is better than anywhere around here. So I'm not looking to cut the funding or anything like that. I'd like to see the hat shift, I guess. The town has been very willing to fund X amount of money for all, about that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I really see it as more of a, that's our budget, this is X amount of money, that should be used to maintain the field and that's it. You guys wanna use that to be your home, you worry about the games, you organize the games, you do all of that stuff. And then it'd make it a lot simpler. And then nobody would say, keep asking, why are we buying balls when we don't have games?
Right.
So-
Trophies.
or you have a rec department.
Right.
And you
Right.
take somebody who's engaged in that right now, and Pirate Rec becomes Pirate Rec, Sangerville Rec. And every hot dog they sell, the money comes to the town.
Yeah.
Every check they get, the money comes to the town.
Right.
And we run it
And we
like a
control
rec
it.
department.
Right.
And I'm open to either scenario, but this middle scenario to me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't think the way we've been doing it
Right.
is really the right way.
But doesn't Pirate Rec have Parkman kids and Abbott kids?
Oh, yeah, it's
and
all
yeah.
of Pirate, it's all of SAD4.
Or, yeah.
And the
But that's
participation is.
why there's
super-
the rub that we supply
Right.
Right.
and other towns,
I don't know, I mean,
Yeah.
the other towns don't give us any money, now whether or not they're giving money to Pirate Rec, I don't know.
yeah, see, that would be the thing to find out.
So they may be doing the same thing, it's just
Sure.
going to the same place, just going in a different bucket, or you're calling it a different thing.
Right,
I don't know how.
Or not. In other words, if Pirate Rec is our guest, and
right.
they continue to be our guest, we continue to take care of that field. The town manager now would be, I'm just picking
Right,
a
right,
strategy.
or
She runs the schedule.
Parks director.
So if Pirate Rec says, gee, we really need the ball field, here's our schedule for the summer, we're gonna have a tournament, we do this. Okay, that's fine, I can live with that. Now, they may say, we wanna do something, no, I'm sorry, I got somebody else coming
You
in.
got the gazebo rented that
Right.
weekend, you're not having a tournament.
Right, doesn't all belong to them.
Right.
In fact, none of it belongs to
And
them.
I think that's what they haven't figured out yet.
Well,
Right.
it's not their fault, I mean, it's
Right.
kind of the way it's always been.
Correct.
It's
Right.
just,
Well,
I mean-
but that's the dilemma of us having this rec director,
Mm,
because you are making it theirs. So
Yeah.
if we separate this, then it's not theirs.
yeah.
I mean, they're still welcome to use it, we're not saying that, but it puts it back into,
now, they were very generous, they gave us a very large check at
Yeah.
town meeting.
Mm,
That doesn't mean they couldn't do that again,
sure.
but there's been a lot of cross-pollination in terms of the direct, that soccer field, the minds and bodies of Pirate Rec put a lot of heart and soul into that soccer field. That wasn't town,
right, right, right,
so,
right, so we
But it wasn't
benefit.
our rec department either, I mean,
no, I get
That's what I'm
it,
saying.
but it was our land.
Right.
correct.
So I'm open to either scenario. It'd be interesting to see if we get the members of the rec, I think maybe the way to do this, the suggestion, I don't know for sure, is we have a workshop with the rec committee and Pirate Rec, and get everybody in a room and say, okay, things have changed.
Right.
We don't have a rec director anymore. This is an opportunity to see how maybe there's a better way to run all this.
Right.
See what they think.
Right.
So it's at least a
Do
starting
you
point.
think you should have a meeting with your rec committee first before you throw in the Pirate Rec? Because
Aren't some of them the
I
same?
think you might, some of them are, but I still think I don't know that you want
It's
to
home
kind
of
of.
One Rec, one is equal right at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's interesting
I
is
mean,
the rec
that is your
committee
rec
meeting
department.
is a public meeting. So the Pirate Rec folks, it's nobody's, nobody's
Yes.
voting to
Yeah.
do anything. We just
Right.
want to hear everybody's voice.
Now, we don't see the books of Pirate Rec. I mean,
Nope.
we don't have a
It's a
clue.
nonprofit.
None of our business.
Right, but yet we supply them with a home. So, I mean,
And materials.
right,
But they do every once in a while give us a nice check too.
yeah.
And like, for example, we let them use the facility to sell food. They don't pay, we don't get a piece of that.
Right.
And we maintain that, and that's the way it's always been. It's not anybody's
They
fault,
light
it's just
bill,
how it's
gas,
done.
and all that stuff.
They do?
No, we do. We pay
Oh.
the light bill.
Because it all comes out of that rec budget?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if there's any propane or anything. We don't do any propane or anything like that for if it's electric, yes, we pay the electric bill, but if
I can't remember if this, I know they do,
if they do fried foods, that's electric.
that's right. Yeah. Do they have barbecue? They must do.
I was thinking they had that.
But the booth itself, if we wanted to,
We
we could say, hey,
make them lease
we
it.
got your game schedule, and we could get some volunteers, the historical society
Yeah,
could say,
could
we're
come.
taking the booth for every odd game. We
That's right.
could do all kinds of different things.
Right.
The library could have it for a game and make some money.
Right.
But we haven't done that.
Right,
And I'm not saying we necessarily should, but it's an asset
right.
that
it
we're
is,
not
it is.
utilizing.
Right, right.
It weren't that many weeks ago, and it was Saturday, Sunday, both, that whole place was packed, lined, both sides of the street, I don't even wanna get, it was all day. It was
Wow.
towns,
Yeah, and I can
in and
hear
out.
them at my house.
Yeah,
So,
and you
I
can
don't know
imagine
if
how
that's
many hot
kind of-
dogs
I
they sold.
think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna
Yeah.
guess how many hundreds of people was there them 2 days. I mean,
And doesn't your brother run a rec department?
yeah, Hudson.
But he's doing the soup to nuts. He's buying the baseballs. he's selling the hot dogs and getting the money from the hot dogs.
He's taking it to the next level. He actually has the old town hall.
Yeah.
In his rec department, he took over the town hall building and is heating that without an increase to his rec budget.
Wow.
He wanted that because there was enough adult interest to do between cribbage and basketball and
Oh,
things.
wow, so he's
Oh,
really
wow.
thinking outside the box.
Oh, yeah, so the only, what they did, because the town wanted to demolish that building.
Yeah.
And that's how he got that through, was give us the building for 1 year's of trial, we'll pay the light bill, don't increase my budget, we'll pay for the heat, the lights, everything.
Wow,
Let's see if we can make this
Sounds like
work.
the theater in Dover, doesn't it?
yeah,
And they're making money.
that's great,
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah,
I
but
played
it's his
basketball with that when
organization
I
that's
was a
making it
kid.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they, for all of his games, they've got a nice cook shack down there,
Yeah.
so best deep fried Oreo cookies you'll ever have.
Oh, God,
Those
geez.
are awesome, so, but,
Sounds good.
they are good, I'm just telling you. So,
But I mean, it's all,
Yeah.
we've discussed this, it's always about people.
Yeah.
If you've got the right people who
Yeah.
are willing to commit, you
Just
can
like
do
your
these
brother.
things.
Yeah, yeah,
But-
yeah.
well, and that's why, I mean,
Yeah,
and I'm not
that's
because it's my
cool.
brother, but his wife works at the school, so during the summer, she doesn't have much to do, and his kids are still younger, so they do a rec program for school kids all summer long,
Wow,
just about. So, I mean, there's stuff,
Right.
they're doing stuff for all ages, whether
that's
it be
great, I mean, it's
little
great for the
kids,
town, I mean. it's-
adults, anything.
But it's almost a full-size basketball court downstairs, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a nice
I
building.
mean, it's a huge building.
The
Yeah.
town hall?
Yes.
Has a basketball court downstairs? Oh,
It
used
used
to be the old
to.
school.
No. The new town hall is the old school.
Oh,
The old town hall is right there across from Rogers Market.
oh.
So when you go in, it's weird, you drive in on the main level, it looks like it's a little bit of a Quonset hut. So you go in and that's actually the upstairs.
Yes.
And that's where all the offices was in there.
Yeah.
And then it's a big window and you look right out over the basketball.
Oh, cool.
And so then you can get
And there's a
downstairs.
kitchen
Yes, full
downstairs
kitchen.
and-
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's really a nice building,
Yeah.
Oh,
so.
good for him. Wow, that's amazing. That's
This was the
amazing.
basketball court here.
Really?
No, there's still baskets up
It's
there.
up there.
They play basketball up there, high school games.
Oh, that's right.
So, what do you guys think about a workshop?
I think-
Yeah, to hammer it out, yeah.
Yeah, at least get the juices flowing.
Right.
You wanna do it as a workshop or as a special?
Yeah, whatever it
I
is.
think a workshop is fine. I mean, it's not,
We don't need to make a
you don't need to
decision.
make a decision. And any
But we
decision,
might
I mean,
get to a point where we
draw
want
it.
to.
Right.
Yeah, at least we could, I
That's
guess.
the only difference between calling
Well,
it
you
one or
just
the
go
other.
to the next town, the next board
No,
meeting.
but you could have a discussion where you'd actually nominate somebody as a rec director. And we could appoint him and get the ball rolling.
The
But
only
you don't have
difference-
to.
The only difference in the two meetings really is the name, right?
Well, and that you can do
When you can
something.
and when you can't.
That's right.
So let's just redo
Do
it
it
one way.
special.
and
Yeah,
start.
we might as well, we're gonna be
Yeah.
here and we
Yeah.
make progress.
Because if we could make a motion,
Yeah.
we might as
It'd be
well
done
have
deal.
that ability. All right.
Because we might
And
have
what
somebody
day
that
do you
wants to
want it?
grab the ball and run.
Yeah.
I actually,
I don't care.
I don't care. I guess talk to the committee chairs.
Sometime next week.
Yeah, see
That's
what
what
Whatever
they
I'm
works
thinking.
for your rec committee and what you can
Okay.
find out with Pirate Rec. and-
Okay.
I'm gone the week of August 4th.
Okay.
From Saturday to Saturday. Okay, anything else on rec?
Yes, we brought, naming the field, or the
Oh, yeah.
court.
Yep.
The first, I think I forwarded you
Yep.
the,
Yes,
both
yes.
of them, so basically it's gotta be a town vote.
Good.
That's our recommendation, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
And so we were on the right.
In fact,
track.
we can
We
discussed
wanted-
it,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what we all thought we should.
When we get into that special,
Yes,
we'll
Yeah.
broach that subject with
There you
them.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Bingo.
would make sure.
They can have a contest, they can, whatever they want to present, and we'll be happy to put it on the warrant.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah, that's coming together.
Dodge a bullet. It was gonna be Graywark Field. Okay.
Right beside Bloodsucker Beach.
Yes. On to, Joe.
that is
That is
Joe.
Joe.
That's
Okay,
what we just talked about.
okay. Anything further on that?
Nope.
All right, road commissioner.
The 800-foot gravel section needs to be graded before we do paving. how much of a graded do you want that to be? Do you want it to be fine graded? Do you want it to be gravelled? I mean, we haven't really talked about that.
We want it to be the specs that Pike says it has to be.
Okay,
It's gonna be ready for paving.
Pike is gonna tell you whether it's ready for paving
Okay.
when we're done grading it,
right.
so
Whatever
Okay.
they want.
And Pike
whatever
will
they
be
need.
Yeah.
a week from Monday. He emailed me a week from Monday.
A week from Monday, they're gonna pay?
Yeah,
So that has to be done prior.
yes. Well, and I
We
think,
want that done like a day or two prior.
Yeah, like, as close as we can to their arrival.
Isn't that what he told us before?
well,
You
it
could
depends
grade
on if
within
you
a couple
do it.
weeks?
It will be within,
Yeah, but I mean, he said if he'd seen roads that were graded in 2 weeks and paved and didn't come out right.
Yeah, they
No,
started
no,
to
no,
get,
no.
started a washboard on it.
Graded, paved.
Pay.
Yeah, ideally, you're doing it the day before they get there. No, that's not always
I mean, I know day
possible.
before, but within a couple days. I don't think he'd want it sitting in 2 weeks.
No, because you get a couple thunderstorms and some traffic, and he's gonna say, gee, that's too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't look that good anymore.
Grade it again.
Okay, anything else?
nope.
Trees. Are they coming down?
Which ones?
One's on the Gray Road.
I didn't get a chance to call Toby to confirm. They were not, he had not started. I went up Monday to check because somebody said he was gonna start he was supposed to start last Monday while I was gone. And he hadn't started, then I was gonna check
Right.
this Monday. I did check this Monday and they still hadn't started. And I've been out straight trying to get everything caught
And
up. I
I-
hadn't had a chance to call him yet.
Okay, I told him that he needed to communicate with you prior to starting so that you could notify abutting neighbors, just that there was stuff going on. And
I did post the road.
And, oh, good, and then also give him permission to be in the road doing what
Okay.
he's doing, because he said he was gonna have to, he said he was gonna start at,
Lentini's.
drop them all, and then skid them onto the farm.
Okay.
Into their.
And I know there was a question of one that was
Yeah,
in
it's-
the rock wall.
He said it's big.
Yes,
huge.
it is huge.
And he said he'd like not to have to take it down, but if he has to, he
And
will.
I was gonna call him and tell him, I don't think it's an issue. It's pretty far off the road, and it's in the middle of the rock wall, which is
And that's
far
exactly
enough
what
off
he
the
said.
road. I'm fine with, and I meant to call him, I did, and
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have to make him aware, I mean, I know they're technically his trees, but he is doing things within a town way.
Right.
Do we have to make a motion granting him permission to do this, just so he's all set, and there's no liability? I'm only going with the theory that we had to for lands to plow.
That's-
Stuff like that. If we-
you know
if we-
what, it wouldn't hurt.
I just, yeah, that's what I was going,
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
to make a motion for, to grant Toby Cleave's permission to clear the trees out of the right of way
On his abutting property.
on this budding property.
And skid them if he
Skid
needs to
them,
down the
yep,
road.
To do what he needs to do to get him down on the other end.
Second.
Any further discussion? None? Those in favor? All three of us are in favor. I would probably close the road that day that he's gonna do that.
The road is closed today. I mean, it's been closed I've got signs, road
Okay.
closed. And it's got the town office phone number on there if anybody wants to call and ask questions. But it's posted at Lentini's going towards the hill, towards Lance's.
Yep.
And then it's posted at the bottom of the hill that's discontinued
Oh, good.
towards
Yeah.
up the hill. So it has been posted since Tuesday.
Okay.
Any update on cutting trees out of the cemetery off that side?
No, I sent an email I did talk to George and asked him if we could select cut and not replant. He said, yeah, that's fine. Then, was it you and I that talked about clear cutting it?
Yeah,
And
cutting
then
it, we'll plant
replant.
something back.
And I sent an email to DEP, Jim Byer, and he has not responded, and I will send a reminder on that.
Anything else?
No.
I had a question regarding our bridge liability.
I didn't get the answer back from MMA. I sent them that question on Monday, but I did get, this is a copy of the letter from 2001 about the bridge being,
Defective.
or repaired, or, you know, that the state would replace the guardrails.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy said he had nothing that said that. The guy from Bangor that I talked to today said he'd had nothing that said that. This is, he talked to Pete Coughlin, who is the guy at DOT in Augusta. They come up with this letter. This was the letter that was sent. You can see it's in 2001. And I mentioned the 2011. They have no documentation of any kind. And if there is no documentation, they will not do anything. I did talk to Jeremy about maybe getting some used guardrail, and the supervisor today that I talked to said that may or may not be allowed. He's got to talk to his engineers and see if it's going to be sturdy enough to let us have that and still meet specifications.
Is there any way in our trio system we can go back this far to see if we paid any amount of money to?
I don't think we had Trio in 2011. I can check, but I don't think.
I'm just trying to, is there some other way to find something about, for documentation to take this to a different direction?
The only thing I can run up to the town garage and see if there is in the file. Because I think, if I remember correctly, in the files, there's a file for each road. And if it's in there, it'd be in French's Mills Road, and that would.
This is all these, but my biggest concern
Yes.
is, because our insurance comes from MMA.
Right,
And if we have open liability right now,
right.
we need a solution. Because
Right.
there's no limit. The Jeep
Yeah.
or even an ATV flips off over there, and that bridge letter means that we've been notified. My fear is that basically every taxpayer is on the hook for an unlimited amount of money.
And I did ask risk management. I actually contacted the insurance company itself, not the MMA legal part of it, and the first person pawned it off to the second person. The second person responded and said, I can't give you an answer, contact MMA legal. And that's when I contacted MMA legal, and I actually called them back this afternoon and still haven't heard anything.
I would
so.
say that if we don't get an answer quickly, I would go to the town's attorney on this.
Okay.
I'm very concerned that if our insurance isn't gonna cover, because we're protected normally,
Right.
but if we're not protected right now, this is
Right.
bad. So, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, we need to get some prices, some ideas.
Well, we definitely
Thoughts.
get, but it may be a situation where we can limit our liability with proper signage while we figure out how we're gonna fix this.
I don't correct, yeah, I understand that, but until we have something for a plan to know what we need to do to fix it.
Oh, no, we gotta fix it. But-
Right, I mean, and get prices and, yeah.
But I mean, if the liability is enough, you're gonna have to close the damn road. I mean, it's,
Is this the pressure stream?
It's the two bridges that have the wooden posts with the cables.
One over towards,
couple hundred yards up from Kelly Eastler's is one, which is a kind of a bridge that most people don't even know is a bridge.
Right.
because they go so fast.
Right, but the major problem is down below, like I said, down there.
Anthony Gilbert, he did put a car in there on the roof.
Oh,
you was in
don't
the
even
neighborhood.
say that.
His dog. His dog wouldn't ride with him.
That's, but another thing that
It was
I,
up coming.
Whoa,
He just wrote the car off and got another one.
I spoke to Brian Howard, and he said that on certain projects, he'd be willing to kind of help the town out. I think you had mentioned a meeting on Facebook that you saw some of the work that he was
Yeah, I
doing.
see him down in Satamoche, they did some work down there, and they were doing those steel I-beams that you drive in, and guardrails were going in. I don't know if that was his role, but that was the picture on his Facebook, was the guardrails being put in.
I thought that project might be something where he could have some input, and also your cemetery, he might look at that
Yeah.
more through that kind of a engineering type prism, but anyway.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's
That's a really good idea.
So, Okay.
Alright.
New business. Contingency expense, AP warrant 93.
This is something that we should talk about first in executive session.
Okay. Is this an employee issue?
Yes,
Okay. You want to do this tonight?
yes.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we go into an executive session under 1 Maine Revised Statute 4056A, employee issue. It is it's 6:30. Second,
Second.
take a vote. All three of us have agreed to go into executive session. I make a motion that we come out of executive session. It is currently 6:52.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor? It is unanimous. We are now back in session. And we do have an action.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the sum of $3,000 to settle pending workman's compensation claim, AP warrant article 93.
Second.
Any further discussion? None? We vote. It is unanimous. Warrant is approved. On to item 9, old business. Abby Fowler, Brian Howard proposal update.
I called Gerald Nessman, and he didn't have it ready. He wasn't 100% sure that it was a purchase and sale agreement or what kind of plan he was supposed to be doing. He was going to get in contact with Brian, but he did have the concern because I have contacted him to do the easement on Lance's piece, and so he wanted to make sure that there was no conflict, that we're a client where we hired him, and then Brian is a client as well, so that we can do the Abby Fowler. So he prepared a statement that's basically, this is acknowledging, yes, we know that he's handling both
Sure.
clients and it's fine, and if we feel there's a conflict, we'll tell him and he'll
Yep.
So we just need to accept that and sign it. And he said by the 18th, which is the next meeting, he should have both the easement and the Abby Fowler ready.
Is that a front sign or just sign?
That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
That is good,
That is
yep.
very good.
Okay. Anything more on that? No? Item 10, correspondence.
None.
Item 11, request for additional agenda items.
I don't have any.
Anybody? No. No more executive sessions. Make a motion that we adjourn.
A second.
Those in favor? It's unanimous. Good evening, everybody.